Tonight on CTV News at 6. We're learning more about the investigation into the Near North District School Board.
Students are the most important part of this, and right now they are getting a subpar education.
A report from the Ministry of Education found it was incapable of dealing with delays to the new super school. Plus more money to help with a twin pad in North Bay.
We say thank you very much for saying that this is a project that is deemed worthy for those investments.
As the province announces new money for the build. And the mood was celebratory in Kapuskasing today as Kap Paper gets up and going after almost having to idle.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Rima and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Tony is off. We begin tonight with more on the investigation into the Near North District School Board. An uninspiring report released by the Ministry of Education found the board was in crisis and incapable of dealing with delays to the new super school being built in Parry Sound. CTV's Eric Tashner starts us off tonight.
Senior administration is the problem.
Parent Amy Black is not at all surprised to hear there's dysfunction and a lack of leadership within the walls of the Near North District School Board. She was among the parents to protest the board's decision to resume classes at the partial demolished Parry Sound High School when the new school fell behind schedule.
Students are the most important part of this, and right now they are getting a subpar education and they deserve better.
A scathing 33-page report from a Ministry of Education appointee released yesterday investigated why the new school wasn't ready and the lack of contingency plan for its students. Pointing to a lack of leadership and communication, the report found several trustees didn't understand their role, finding some actively opposed the new build by spreading misinformation. Adding the person put in charge of the special committee overseeing the new school was opposed to the build and stopped calling meetings on the construction and its progress. That was 2 years ago.
I, quite frankly, was absolutely shocked.
Staff sounded the alarm this summer that construction was behind schedule, the report finding there wasn't enough site visits throughout construction and that no one knew the project was delayed. Parents were informed only a few weeks before school started, and students were learning online until the old school could be deemed safe for learning.
Any communication beyond that was met with silence.
How this could have gone on and gone on for so long.
There are over a dozen recommendations in the report, including education for trustees on their roles, and that board meetings, minutes, and agendas be posted online, and they come with a deadline for the board to comply.
The minister has ended up saying, meet these targets or there's consequences.
Meanwhile, Black is calling for Director of Education Craig Miles to resign, saying public trust in the board has completely eroded after the report revealed questionable use of a corporate credit card and a 37% raise over 4 years based on Miles's performance reviews, which he participated in crafting.
I believe in a 3 strikes and you're out, and I think this is 4 or 5 or 6.
The school board says it will not be commenting on the report's release. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
After yesterday's report of dust in the Sudbury community of Falconbridge, Glencore today says some of the preliminary samples taken are similar to the smelter dust event in September. Last month's event happened during routine cleaning at the smelter. Yesterday, the smelter was operating normally with all monitoring instruments functioning properly, according to the company, adding their systems did not register any dusting, gas, or emissions since the incident last month. Glencore has curtailed operations at the smelter out of what they say is, quote, an abundance of caution.
I think the most important part of this is that the company has definitely heard our message loud and clear that communication needs to be paramount. And in this situation, I'm very pleased that he reached out, the VP at Glencore reached out to me personally, as well as the mayor and our emergency preparedness team with the city, falling in line with the SOP that's in place with the city and all of the partners. And I think that's what is owed to the community.
Glencore's community line remains open to support residents and to answer questions. The Ontario government is chipping in $2 million to help cover some costs associated with the building of the new Twin Pad Arena and Community Recreation Centre in North Bay. The $63 million facility will have 2 ice surfaces, a walking track, a community room, and 14 dressing rooms to support both indoor and outdoor sports. There will be parking for more than 400 vehicles, and the Recreation Center will be one of the first net carbon zero recreational facilities in Canada. Today's money from Nipissing MPP Vic Fideli is coming from the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation.
We say thank you very much for saying that this is a project that is deemed worthy for those investments in economic development, because it is a driver of economic development.
Like I said, it'll open up the programs, because now some of the divisions you can't add more players because you run out of ice to be able to run stuff, and to run more tournaments and more games, and we want to share with all the other associations. It's all about the kids, really.
The project is still on budget and on time. The community center is set to open next August. A $2 million project in mining technology is getting a boost from the Ontario Centre of Innovation. A Sudbury-based company is getting more than $600,000 to develop a first-of-its-kind digital tire management platform. The project is in collaboration with Yokohama and Fountain Tire and aims to increase safety while reducing tire waste and fuel consumption. The platform provides real-time data and predictive analytics to improve the performance and efficiency of the mining equipment tires using AI. Timmins Hospital and Northeastern Public Health are getting new funding to help with harm reduction and addictions. Health Canada is handing over nearly $700,000 from the Emergency Treatment Fund to support blood-borne infection prevention and treatment and withdrawal management, and bolster the hospital's mobile crisis response services. The funding will also support outreach capacity for social workers and improve follow-up care with health workers. All right, time for our first check on weather. Here's CTV's Rick Wyman. And Rick, we were talking this week about trick-or-treating, and it was supposed to be looking pretty bad, but not a drop here has fallen at the studio, if I'm not mistaken.
There's always good news when we give you the weather forecast. We start off with the ominous news at the beginning of the week, then we kind of hedge our bets. And no rain for Greater Sudbury, but we did have some rain in North Bay and some other areas in the northeast, but not as bad as first expected. Your systems map right now, you think it's pretty bad over here in terms of, well, overcast skies. Atlantic Canada getting, well, laced with all kinds of precipitation, some snow, some rain, and what have you. But northeastern Ontario, we're doing okay. Ian will check out the current temperatures in just a couple of minutes. And of course, it's a big night for trick-or-treaters, so we ask the drivers to be extremely careful. Back to you.
Sounds great. Thanks, Rick. And I am being told it is starting to spit here, so take those umbrellas. There's more to come on CTV News at 6. For now, let's go to a live look of downtown Timmins tonight, courtesy of the city. Not seeing a lot of trick-or-treaters or revelers downtown yet on Algonquin, but hey, the night is still early. Let's hope the weather up there holds. Rick will be able to tell us more after the break. Stay with us. You're watching CTV Northern Ontario.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A traffic stop in West Nipissing Wednesday night has led to drug charges for a 42-year-old man. OPP stopped the driver on Church Street. A search of the vehicle revealed 2 replica handguns and drugs, which police suspect are cocaine and fentanyl. Work to revitalize Memorial Park is underway in the heart of downtown Sudbury. CTV's Alana Everson has that story.
Crews work dethatching grass in efforts to revitalize Memorial Park.
We've had a lot of deferred maintenance over the last few years, and the efforts that you see here are really about turf restoration, improving sight lines, and then eventually facilitating future programming and events in Memorial Park.
Downtown Sudbury welcomes the work to revitalize the park and make it more welcoming.
Over the past little while, it just hasn't been upkept the way that people would hope. And it makes it difficult for organizations to do things in the park, host events, bring people out, because it's not as clean or friendly or welcoming as we'd like it to be.
The city says the north end of the park will remain fenced off until the spring to secure a safe working area.
Secondly, it's really to allow, once that work is done, for the grounds to be preserved and all these efforts in turf restoration to make sure that the grass can grow and take place.
The southern section of the park remains open and available for Remembrance Day, and work there will start in the spring.
The efforts you see here in Memorial Park are part of the city's overall downtown action plan. Key pillars of that are beautification and animation of spaces like Memorial Park to make downtown a more welcoming and vibrant area.
There are also plans to install a concrete pad for a vendor area that could accommodate food trucks. The city says the work will continue this fall and resume in the spring, with completion slated for June, in time for summer events in the park. Alana Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
Kap Paper officials say today was an emotional day. With the facility back up and running, it was a chance to publicly thank the federal and provincial governments for investing in its operations. The company's CEO says future planning is now underway, but most importantly, people can continue to work. CTV's Lydia Chubak has more tonight from Kapuskasing.
Newsprint paper keeps on rolling at Kap Paper. About 300 people are back to work. Earlier this month, the future for the pulp mill was bleak, but community leaders fought for it.
We pull together when times are tough, and I think I credit our whole region for coming together. But that's just what kind of people we are.
That's when you realize that Kap Paper is not only a company, it really is at the heart of this community. And so very important that it be a company that continues to thrive for years to come.
Rochefort says $10 million from FedNor will help the company adapt and respond to shifting market conditions in the forestry industry.
The purpose of the funding here is to assist with planning and repurposing the markets of this particular company. And so that's the work that is now underway.
Kap Paper officials say the province has been supporting the operation for the past year and appreciates the federal government coming on board.
It's going to take us well into the spring of next year to get to the level where we can start talking about what it is we're actually going to do. We have some really good ideas. We've engaged some very high-powered global engineering and forest products companies to help us.
Skiffington also thanked Kapuskasing Timmins Mushkegowuk MP Gaetan Millette for working with Rochefort to bring about the federal investment.
There was a vision 100 years ago, and now it's time to have the vision of another 100 years. It must be an investment for 50 to 100 years, not just an investment for a few months. So now it's time to look at that vision.
Kap Paper officials say the federal government has made it clear Canada needs to pivot, and that means they need to pivot too into new markets, new technologies, and new products. And they say that brings them hope that they're not only going to make it, but they're going to grow. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Kapuskasing.
At Queen's Park today, new proposals from the province to deal with Ontario's 36 conservation authorities. It's a plan the government says will allow for efficiencies, but opposition members are warning of potentially dangerous consequences. CTV's Siobhan Morris has more.
It's an overhaul of the agencies that manage and protect Ontario's watersheds, a system the minister in charge calls fragmented, inconsistent, and outdated.
Has not been working for homeowners, or for builders, or for farmers, or even for municipalities who are dealing with as many as 4 in Hamilton, for example.
The proposal is to collapse Ontario's 36 conservation authorities into 7 regional bodies and set up a central agency to oversee them. McCarthy insisted over and over no jobs would be lost.
We will redeploy any management positions, for example, through consolidation to frontline workers.
Up to and including CEOs earning more than the Premier. The reason for the change.
The motivation to build critical infrastructure faster, to build housing faster, to get national projects in the ground faster.
That emphasis on building has drawn condemnation from the opposition.
It's completely illogical. I feel like failed science class.
This is setting aside all the environmental protection that those authorities are supposed to be doing so that someone can make a quick buck.
Critics warn it could mean homes that are more susceptible to flooding.
It would be very difficult or impossible to get insurance for new buildings that are constructed in a way that infringes on floodplains or floodplain risks. So there is a huge financial risk to this as well as a human safety risk.
Minister McCarthy believes there can be balance.
It's not a cliche. We need to build the Ontario of tomorrow while protecting the environment.
But the Green Party leader worries Ontario hasn't learned from expensive and disruptive summer flooding in the GTA. and the historic hit from Hurricane Hazel in 1954.
81 people tragically died. 8,000 people made homeless. That's why we have strict conservation rules, and that's why local expertise is so critically important.
The legislation to establish that centralized agency will come in the next few weeks, but the collapse of the 36 conservation authorities into 7 regional bodies won't happen until early 2027. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Back now for a check on your Halloween weather and conditions. And speaking of things that go bump in the night, let's check in with Rick Wyman. And Rick, how's it looking out there?
It's spinning, as you alluded to just a couple of minutes ago. I stuck my head, got a little wet. It's spinning outside in Greater Sudbury right now, so we'll keep a close eye on that. So really no need to worry yet for the trick-or-treaters. It is getting darker. So again, please drive carefully. This is the system that's moving through the northeast as we speak. No appreciable precipitation until at least Monday right now. So again, we've got some sleet in the forecast. And again, a chance of flurries. We'll talk about that and a lot more. But first, Ian, we've got our current conditions for this evening. Here we go in Moosohee, 5 with precipitation. Cochrane at 2 with the rain. Timmins 2 with the rain as well. Kap, no precipitation, just cloud. Chapleau 2 with the rain. Wawa cloud cover. Sault Ste. Marie 7 with the cloud cover as well. In Parry Sound 6 with the cloud cover. Meanwhile in North Bay 4 with cloud. Temiskaming Shores 7 with cloud. Kirkland Lake 5 with cloud. 6 in Greater Sudbury. 6 in Espanola. 5 in Elliott Lake. And 7 in Gore Bay. So here we go. Ian, get ready for the 7-day forecast and our illustrious pick of the day coming up in just a couple of minutes. Back to you.
I'm ready. Thanks, Rick. Next on CTV News at 6. With trade talks stalled between Canada and the U.S., President Trump now says our Prime Minister apologized for a U.S. ad. And the latest saga facing King Charles and his brother Andrew. Prime Minister Mark Carney said Canada's relationship with China is at a turning point following his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Carney met Xi on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Their talks concluded with an invitation for a state visit. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
The face-to-face hosted by China marked the first time in 8 years that a Canadian and Chinese leader met officially. Mark Carney expressed regret for lost time.
Distance is not the way to solve problems, not the way to serve our people with people-centric growth, as you have advocated. Pragmatic and constructive engagement is.
The meeting lasted 39 minutes. According to a readout from the Prime Minister's office, the leaders discussed trade issues, including agriculture, canola, seafood, and electric vehicles. There's no deal, but there's dialogue.
We now have a turning point in the relationship.
The freeze in relations began in 2018 after Canada arrested Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou at the request of the U.S. In response, China detained Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. Then in 2022, Xi scolded former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in front of cameras. Analysts say recalibrating with China must be done carefully.
Mr. Carney will be able to have firm views on difficult issues related to human rights, religious freedom, and so on, while at the same time saying, let's discuss how we can work together.
We are going to have to play our own game with China based on our own interests and our own ambitions.
This was the second time Carney has met Xi. Previously, they met in 2016 when he was governor of the Bank of England. There will be a third meeting too. Xi Jinping has invited Carney to China for a state visit. Judy Trin, CTV News, Gyeongju, South Korea.
Trade talks between Canada and the U.S. remain stalled after U.S. President Donald Trump voiced his outrage over Ontario's controversial anti-tariff ad. Carney and Trump spoke briefly at the APEC summit in South Korea, and today Trump commenting on the situation, saying the Prime Minister used that occasion to apologize.
I have a very good relationship. I like him a lot.
But you know what they did was wrong. He was very nice. He apologized for what they did with the commercial because it was a false commercial. You know, it was the exact opposite. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs, and they tried to make it look the other way. And he did apologize, and I appreciated it. We had a great dinner, you know, with other countries, as you know. And I think we have a very good relationship personally. I think that what they did was wrong, but he apologized.
Meanwhile, a new poll shows most Canadians are supportive of Ontario's anti-tariff ad, featuring the voice of former U.S. President Ronald Reagan. In the survey by Angus Reid, 56% of Canadians said they agree or strongly agree with Ontario government's running the ad. 47% of Canadians say the ad will make a difference in terms of bringing Americans closer to Canadian views on tariffs, while 43% said running the ad put Canada in a worse negotiating position, with only 11% saying it improved our position. In a move some are calling extraordinary, King Charles is set to strip his brother Prince Andrew of his titles and honors. Andrew will also lose his home. Buckingham Palace says a formal notice has been served on Andrew to surrender the lease of his Royal Lodge mansion. He will move to an alternative accommodations. The announcement comes as the royal family faces renewed scrutiny over Andrew's ties to late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a claim which were renewed by the publication of a memoir by Virginia Giuffre, who alleged she was trafficked by Epstein and had sex with Andrew when she was 17. She took her own life earlier this year. The Supreme Court has ruled against mandatory minimum jail sentences for people who access or possess child pornography. In its ruling, the court says the mandatory minimum for those crimes is unconstitutional. According to the High Court, such a move would remove a judge's discretion to impose other sentences when appropriate. The decision backs a previous ruling in Quebec and flows from the cases of two men who pleaded guilty to offenses. There's more news ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with the dashingly well-dressed Rick Wyman. Rick, go Jays, go.
Big night tonight, and thanks to Diego over at Pro-Am Sports on Barrydown Road in Sudbury for, well, I love red. Red's my favorite color, Ian, and I love this sweater. Jersey, I should say. Good luck. Jays win tonight. We don't want to go 7. That is my prediction for this evening. Forecast radar, here we go. We've got, well, some light drizzle, some spitting, as Ian would like to say in the forecast, in and around northeastern Ontario for the trick-or-treaters. A lot more precipitation coming up on Monday, but we'll get to that momentarily. Overnight conditions, cloud cover Sudbury. More of the same in Sault Ste. Marie. Chance of sleet in Timmins, Temiskaming Shores, chance of sleet, and North Bay as well, with the chance of sleet. Meanwhile, Moosonee, chance of sleet. Flurry activity, Kapuskasing-Hearst, some cloud cover, Wawa and Gore Bay, chance of sleet in Parry Sound. Now those numbers, have a look. Here we go, cloud cover tomorrow. We've got some sun and clouds Sunday. Monday, here we go, 60% chance of rain, sunshine on Tuesday, and again, more rain to come by Wednesday of next week. Some of those temperatures a little bit above normal. Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, cloud cover for a couple of days. Don't forget to turn those clocks back on Sunday. 8 for that day. Monday, chance of rain. Tuesday, some sun and cloud, going all the way up to 10. Wednesday, chance of showers and more sun and cloud come Thursday, with a reading of 5 degrees for the expected high. In Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, chance of flurries for tomorrow at 3. Then it actually takes a dip to -3 overnight. Sunday, sun and cloud. Monday, chance of rain at 60%. That's a pretty good bet there. High of 6. Some cloud cover Tuesday. Wednesday, chance of sleet at 60%. Some showers or flurries. More of the same on Thursday with a high of only 1. Let's have a peek at Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. Chance of flurries for tomorrow at 3. Sunday, we've got sun and cloud at 5. Now, Monday, chance of rain at 60%. That looks like a pretty good day to pack an umbrella or dress appropriately. Tuesday, cloud cover. Wednesday, chance of rain again at 5. Thursday, we've got the chance of sleet at 3. Normally, you should be sitting at around 5 degrees for this time of the year, so the temperature going up, going down over the course of the next couple of days. After all, it will be early November weather. North Bay, West Nipissing, here we go. Cloud cover for a couple of days at 4 and 8. Chance of rain on Monday, 60%. Pretty well the same right across the northeast. Tuesday, some sunshine. That'll be a nice day. 8 degrees. Chance of rain again on Wednesday at 6. And the chance of sleet Thursday, some sun, some cloud, and of course some shower activity, flurries, and a high of 4. So again, pretty well the same type of forecast right across the northeast. At least we'll be spared by the rain until at least the beginning of the week. Let's have a look now at our pick of the day. I love this one. Jeanette Mulligan. Maddie in the fall leaves, Agnew Lake. Of course, why not play around in the leaves, Maddie? Should have come to my place. I had a ton of them at my house earlier this week. Perhaps your pick could be on next week. We'll be back with more news coming up after the break.
Over the next few weeks, Canadians across the country will be wearing a visual symbol of remembrance. The annual Poppy campaign officially launched today by Royal Canadian Legions across the country. CTV's Angela Gemmell has more.
Deputy Mayor Al Sizer gets the first poppy of 2025. He helped kick off the annual campaign leading up to Remembrance Day.
The poppy is free. The donations Legions accept gratefully go directly to a trust fund to support the veterans and their families.
The ceremony at the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 76 site started with a flag raising and wreath laying before a proclamation was read.
Do hereby proclaim October 31st to November 11th, 2025 to be Poppy Days.
In Canada, the poppy is a visual reminder of those who have served and are still serving.
Just to recognize the sacrifice that these veterans made for us so that we have that freedom that we enjoy here in Canada. It's more and more difficult as we move further and further away from the Second World War and the Korean War to remember those sacrifices that were made. So again, just to keep that memory of those who sacrificed so much for us.
I come from a military family, and it reminds me of my brothers, my father, my nephew, who are all veterans, as, like I say, my past husband.
Poppies will be available at thousands of locations across the country from now until November 11th. The week leading up to Remembrance Day is considered Veterans Week or Poppy Week. This powerful symbol should be worn on the left over the heart. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Sudbury.
And here at CTV, as we do every year, we'll be taking time to remember by wearing a poppy on our newscasts starting November 1st. A new Rotary Peace Pole was dedicated in Sudbury today at the local Gurdwara. This one will be located at 131 Regent Street, Sudbury's Sikh place of worship, and features the saying, "May peace prevail on earth," in 8 languages. The event featured music and representatives from the Francophone, Indigenous, and Sikh community.
The Peace Pole is a symbol for us to all think about peace in ourselves, in our families. We look at problems with partner abuse. We look at it in the schools with bullying. We look at it in our communities with racism. We look at it in our country and in the world with violence and wars. So this is something that we all experience and we all could look at. Today, we are looking at having justice.
It will be placed just beside our religious flag, Nishan Sahib Ji, which is a sign of hope, which is a sign of shelter, food, and free clothes and harmony.
The Rotary Club says this will be the 17th Peace Pole erected in Sudbury, and they have plans to add 5 more soon along Rainbow Routes trails in the city. The Algonquin Regiment has received a special gift commemorating the company's historic sacrifice during World War II. The regiment, based out of North Bay, has been gifted a replica bell by the town of Welberg in the Netherlands. Welberg was liberated by Canadian forces in November 1944. On Sunday, a ceremony will be held at the Algonquin Regiment's Martin Leo Troy Armory at 10:30 a.m. The ceremony will include a parade and the ringing of the bell to memorialize both the civilian and military lives lost at Welberg. Blue Jays fans who have been staying up late a lot recently will have a chance to gain an hour of sleep when we turn the clocks back this weekend. But as our health reporter Pauline Jan tells us, for those with chronic insomnia, there are new treatments to explore.
Meditation and reading before bed are 2 of the ways that Andrew Morris tries to deal with his chronic insomnia.
I've tried all the kind of standard approaches, meditation, mindfulness,
Exercise, sleep hygiene, like supplements, sleeping pills, you name it. I've tried everything.
Insomnia is the inability to fall asleep or to stay asleep.
If the symptoms are present for 3 times a week for 3 months, then we know that that's a situation where your insomnia needs to be looked at, needs to be treated.
16.3% of Canadians are living with a diagnosis of insomnia, with up to 30% having regular difficulty sleeping. Dr. Michael Mack says medications, exercise, meditation, in addition to good sleep hygiene, can be helpful, but many are not aware of the latest treatment.
The treatment that we advocate for all patients to get is something called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia.
CBT has been successful in the past for anxiety, OCD, and other disorders. It's a form of psychotherapy that trains patients to change how they think and behave. Morris is planning to begin sessions soon, and he says he worries about the long-term effects lack of sleep could have on his health.
Yeah, it's something that I worry about. It also has an impact on other parts of your health, cardiac health, immune health. So it really does dig deep into, general health and wellness.
Lack of sleep can also increase your risk of mental health problems.
It's a risk factor for developing depression, anxiety, alcohol use disorders. It's associated with psychosis, and in the worst cases, it can also be associated with cardiovascular problems like hypertension.
Dr. Mack says gaining an hour of sleep this weekend isn't usually a problem, but it can be disruptive. And if you have long-standing sleep problems, talk to your doctor. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Paramedics in Sault Ste. Marie are helping others roll up their sleeves. They'll be hosting 3 vaccine clinics around the city starting next week. Paramedic Services, in partnership with the hospital, will be offering flu shots for members of the community 6 months of age or older, COVID-19 vaccines for those 12 and older, and RSV vaccines for those 60 plus. No appointment is necessary. You can drop by Monday from 9:30 to 3:30 at Second Line Hub and Tuesday 9:30 to 3:30 at Chapel Hub. Well, trick-or-treating is underway now. Even still, Sudbury saw a different kind of house-to-house canvassing last night, and it was all for a great cause. Lockerbie Composite School students were out collecting donations as part of the Kids Caring for Kids Cancer Drive. This special fundraiser was started 30 years ago by the late Laura Catesta, Lockerbie student who battled bravely cancer for a decade. All proceeds go towards supporting pediatric care at the Health Sciences North Foundation.
Unfortunately, we do have a lot of kids in our city that are fighting cancer, and we have kids in our schools, and it's the least we can do to support them and help our community thrive on.
It really helps other people who are in need of it, and it kind of brings you get to meet new people, and you get to help something that's supporting something really big and great for our school community.
I know a lot of people struggle financially, so if they need treatment, they're not able to travel far distances to Toronto to sick kids. So raising money helps them be able to get their treatment here in Sudbury, so they're able to stay comfortable in their home.
Cancer runs in my family, and it's so important to me to have this moment to fundraise because it's giving back to the community, to something that's near and dear to my heart, and it really feels important to me to be able to do this.
Since its inception, the initiative has raised over $1 million. Still ahead on CTV News at 6. We'll check in with the OHL as the Sioux Greyhounds continue their winning streak, this time in North Bay.
Hockey This Week is brought to you by Rastall Nut and Bolt Company.
The Sioux Greyhounds have their captain back, and Brady Martin's name is now added to a star-studded list of Greyhounds turned NHLers. The 18-year-old returned from Nashville last week, where the Predators' 5th overall pick got a first taste of life in the big leagues.
It was a lot of fun in Nashville. I learned a lot from the veterans and the coaching staff there. And then, but I'm good. I'm happy to be back. And I think we have a pretty good team this year. So I'm happy to be back and can't wait.
Including training camp, preseason, and his NHL debut, it was a time of many firsts while in the volunteer state. October 11th was special for Martin in particular when he earned his first NHL point with an assist on Nashville star Philip Forsberg's first period goal against the Utah Mammoth.
Great effort by him, kind of getting their breakout disrupted. I do think he's looking great, and I'm excited for the next period.
I grew up watching him on TV, which was pretty cool, and then you get drafted and you get to play with him for a couple games is crazy. I would have never thought of that for myself. So yeah, I just took it all in and took it day by day and enjoyed every moment.
Since returning, the Hounds star has been red hot with 7 points in his first 3 games. Martin's skill and tenacity define his game, according to his coach, who describes him as a great leader that brings a lot of energy to the room and someone who possesses an exceptional work ethic.
Because he models the right behavior, it becomes more special for the coaching staff. But yeah, there's young men in there right now who I'm sure will tell you that it is exciting to get to play with Brady Martin. That stuff does wear off, but when your best players are also your most competitive, it's a huge coaching advantage, a huge advantage for your team. It's contagious.
Seeing a guy come back from the NHL, I think it especially pushes the younger guys and pushes me and Miggy, obviously being line mates. So yeah, it pushes the guys a ton.
For Hayes and other Hounds, the reintroduction of Martin means more than just an added weapon on the ice.
We've been together for 3 years. We pretty much do everything together, whether it's on the ice, off the ice, and we go out to dinner a bunch, read each other's billets. So yeah, it's great to have it back.
Coach Dean says this year has been a roller coaster for the Hounds and believes Martin will help steady the ship. But the Sioux captain's reassignment to the border city came with instructions from Nashville.
I think just all around developing and getting bigger, it's at the NHL is a whole nother level. So you gotta. I wasn't ready, and it's good for me to be back here and develop a little more. So yeah, I'm glad to be back.
While he works on his development, Martin says he has high expectations for himself and his team, looking to propel the Greyhounds as far as possible this season. He also notes that he would love to earn a spot on Team Canada for this year's World Junior Championship. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
Well, the Sioux Greyhounds continued their northern road trip last night, taking on the North Bay Battalion, and what a rally it was for the Hounds. They managed to get on the board with this shot from Travis Hayes. Only minutes into the third, tying up the game, but they weren't done there. 2 more goals and an empty netter. The Hounds pull out of the Gateway City with a 4-1 win. Brady Martin last night, with 1 goal and 3 assists. He was the first star of the game. Welcome back, Brady. Just 1 game tonight in the OHL. The Sudbury Wolves are on the road. They'll be in Kitchener looking for a win. Game time is 7 o'clock. The Wolves have lost their last 3 while visiting the Rangers. In the NOJHL, the top-rated Hearst Lumberjacks fall to Timmins Rock 6-1. And the Sudbury Cubs hosted the Sioux Thunderbirds, taking home ice advantage 5-2. Tonight over in the NOJHL, Iroquois Falls are in Hearst, taking on the Lumberjacks. The Poisson Voodoo and the Sioux Michigan Eagles go head-to-head south of the border. And the French River Rapids are in Espanola, taking on the Paper Kings. Game time is at 7 o'clock. Well, baseball fever has taken over the country as we await Game 6 of the World Series just in about an hour's time. Fans in Toronto lined up to get tickets to tonight's potentially historic match against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they were feeling the excitement.
Everyone's sleep schedules have been messed up, obviously, from that 18-inning game. Yeah. Everyone's tired, but we're running on adrenaline, I feel like, Yeah. It's been crazy as a Jays fan, and I think we're going to win tonight.
It definitely brings out the fans in people. Like, people who normally don't watch the game are suddenly into it, which is kind of fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just walking around, everybody's decked out, everybody's ready. It's a cool feeling.
And it's shaping up to be quite the pitching battle tonight. Kevin Gausman will be on the mound for the Blue Jays in Game 6 after holding the Dodgers to 3 runs back in Game 2. But he'll be up against this man, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who shut down the Blue Jays earlier in this series. Both pitchers are now stranger to the splitter, which should make for an interesting matchup. Canada's Latino community is preparing to honor their loved ones this weekend for the Day of the Dead. As CTV's Miriam Valdez-Carletti reports, a mariachi band in Edmonton is using music to showcase the spirit of remembrance.
The
dancers and Mariachi Loco are gearing up to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, also known as Day of the Dead.
I used to do it with my grandparents, and now I'm doing it with my kids, and that's how culture and traditions move forward. So we wanted to do it in our city.
We've been spending so many months working, put everything together, and I'm just really excited to finally live it.
The Mexican holiday is celebrated between November 1st and 2nd. It's a time to honor and remember loved ones who have died.
It's not only, a great celebration, but it's also a way to heal those wounds as an immigrant as well, being so far away from home.
The 9-piece ensemble is performing at Westbury Theatre on Saturday. Lead singer Areni Perez hopes to bring the Day of the Dead alive in the city through art.
This is how I can express myself through music and dance, and it was very important for me to bring people together to showcase Mexican culture.
Choreographer Alicia Ortega says her Canadian husband's mom died 10 years ago and had previously missed the anniversary.
I told him not to be worried because that's why we have Dia de los Muertos, so we can remember all of them in a very loving way.
Mariachi Loco is a mixture of ethnicities: Mexican, Salvadorian, Peruvian, and Canadian. They hope their music connects the audience with their culture.
They may not understand what we're singing about, but they do connect with the music, and that's what brings us together at the end of the day.
Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
Video game Call of Duty is headed to the silver screen with a big-name director backing the project. David Daniel has that and more in tonight's Hollywood Report.
Dad, I can see. No, that's not us. That's somebody else's car.
AMC Theaters are offering 2 scary screenings for 1 ticket. Hallow Road, starring Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys, and the darkly comic thriller Vincent Must Die. More info at HalloweenDoubleFeature.com.
Stop looking backwards, Dave. Look ladders is what we do next.
An update on the Call of Duty movie. Paramount and Activision have a creative team for their live-action feature film based on the popular military video game franchise. Peter Berg, known for Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day, will direct the movie and co-write it with Yellowstone and Landman creator Tyler Sheridan.
I've been drinking beer for 40 years, and I never wished once that it tasted more like fruit.
King of the Hill has at least a few more years in it. Hulu has renewed the adult animated series for its 16th and 17th seasons. Season 14 debuted in August, and Season 15 is due out next year. In Hollywood, by way of Arlen, Texas, I'm David Daniel.
Several Canadian companies will benefit from a G7 plan to secure a supply of critical minerals. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has more.
In June, G7 nations formed the Critical Minerals Production Alliance. Today, after a summit in Toronto, first investments were announced. Rio Tinto will get about $25 million to scale up its production of scandium. It's used in aerospace and auto production. Ucore Rare Metals will get more than $36 million to scale up refining of 2 rare earth elements. Right now, China is the dominant player in the mining and refining of rare earth elements and critical minerals. The G7 nations don't want to rely on Beijing for supplies. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.32. West Texas Intermediate crude slightly up to 60.98. Western Canadian Select barely moved. It's at 48.21. And the TSX gained 81 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold down $21.75, closing the day at $4,272 US an ounce. Silver down 24 cents to end the day at $48.67. Copper up 2 cents, ending the day at $4.94 US a pound. And nickel had no change. Rick is back now for one last look at the weather. And Rick, I've got some outdoor stuff to do tomorrow. How's it looking?
Overcast skies, Ian, and it might spit occasionally, but that's okay. Take your time doing the lawn, doing whatever you've got to do, but take your time. Okay, let's check out some of the other conditions right across northeastern Ontario. 4 Greater Sudbury, 3 Timmins, chance of flurry, Sault Ste. Marie 5 with cloud cover as well. More cloud in North Bay at 4, Parry Sound 6 with the cloud, and Temiskaming Shores 3 with the chance of flurries. I certainly hope you have a great weekend and make the most of that extra hour, Ian, with the time change.
That's right, the time change, and go Jays go. That's our newscast this Friday night. Thanks so much for watching. Have a happy Halloween tonight, and go Jays go. Amanda's in tonight for me with your late night news. Make sure you tune in. Until then, thanks for watching. We leave you with a little Who You Gonna Call? Ghostbusters. Good night.